So no doubt you've noticed by now that the pace for the channel has slowed down a lot ever since we finished the Journey album series, where we went through every single album that Journey ever put out. I've been kind of working behind the scenes, brainstorming, figuring out what I want to do next, and I think I've landed on it. I absolutely love music and I love talking about music. That's why I started this channel. I'm very, very thrilled that I have 230 subscribers as of this recording. That's absolutely mind blowing. One of the videos is right around 9,000. I have several videos over 1,000 views. So I'm absolutely blown away by all the support that this channel has received lately. So now I'm thinking, okay, where do we take it next? So this is going to serve as the introduction to the Iconic Albums series. This is going to be a long-term series of ongoing videos where I discuss albums that I consider to be iconic each week. So for the first several weeks, maybe even the rest of the year, haven't decided yet, I'm going to focus on the 1980s. It's my favorite decade for music, so I figured why not start there. So the way this is going to work as of right now, and this of course might change as we go through it, growing pains, all that sort of thing. We're gonna every week I'm gonna put out a video that is an overview of an album that I consider to be iconic. What do we call? How do we consider it to be iconic? Well, first of all, it's just my opinion. Everyone has their own definition of what they would consider to be an incredible, phenomenal album. But for me, iconic albums are albums that have hit songs. They have staying power. So some of the music from the album is still relevant today, or at least recognizable today. Or maybe it was career defining for that artist, genre defining for the genre of music, because I'm not just going to stick with rock. I like lots and lots of different types of music. So, I'm going to explore some different genres here. I really am a huge fan of like synth pop and not so much 80s pop, but some we'll kind of float into that category a little bit. And then some of the heavier things that the 1980s gave us as well. And then is it genre bending? Because some artists really explored mixing genres. So, I don't really have like a hard criteria for what I consider to be iconic. And maybe I'll put out a video for an album that I think is iconic and you'll disagree, and that's fine. I'm all for the discussion. But what I'll put out the way this is going to work is I'll put out a video that gives an overview of an iconic album. And then the next week's worth of videos after that, sometimes it might be one additional video, sometimes it might be two, sometimes even three. I'll dive into different aspects. Maybe there's like a huge single on that album that deserves its own video, or maybe there's some dramatic backstory about like how the album came together. Whatever needs to be talked about, we'll talk about it. I think this series is a great opportunity for me to really explore the modern history of contemporary music, which is something that I'm absolutely fascinated by. Almost all of this music, especially in these first videos in the 1980s, is before my time. I was born in the 90s, so. But I absolutely still adore this music. And for a lot of you, you were around when this music was fresh, when it was new, when it was relevant. And so I want to hear from you guys as I put out this content. If you have not subscribed, I absolutely encourage you to subscribe so that you can join me and the Pixel Positive Music community on this journey. No pun intended. Probably will not talk about Journey for a little bit. In this series, I'll still have other videos that I cover, relevant topics as they happen, but we're going to start exploring different artists. I'm talking like Queen, Survivor, Styx, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, so many others. I mean, Aha, Pet Shop Boys, Erasure, New Order, Joy Division, Pat Benatar. So many like 80s icons that we are going to be able to examine album by album, and so we can really measure the impact that they have had on society back then and the staying power and lasting impact on contemporary society today. One artist I'm very interested in exploring a bit is Kate Bush. I was not familiar with Kate Bush until Stranger Things, and now Running Up That Hill is absolutely everywhere. So we'll definitely feature that album that song is on during one of the episodes, and we'll talk about more of how the modern impact is more substantial than the original impact. So I think this is going to be a really fun and exciting series that we're going to get to do. And like I said, it's not just going to be the 80s. It's going to start in the 80s. We'll move back. We'll go to the 70s. We'll go even maybe to the 60s, explore some Beatles, Who, Rolling Stones, that sort of thing. We'll go forward to the 90s. We will talk about grunge. Even if you don't like grunge, I think it's worth noting the impact it had on the industry. And then, we also had some great alternative bands come out in the 90s. And then, the early 2000s, 2010s, 2020s even. We're going to just take it decade by decade, and maybe, we'll go to the 90s, then we'll come back to the 80s. It's going to be pretty fluid. The whole point is we're going to continue talking about music. We're going to continue exploring different sounds, different artists, different albums, so that we can really learn as a community to appreciate this wonderful medium that we all love so much. I think just about everyone likes music to some degree, but I think it takes a lot to really, really appreciate how much and how vast this medium is. So this is me taking on music as a whole from the past 60 years, and really just exploring the impact that it's had, and album by album. So I really hope that you guys will join me in this series. Like I said, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out. Like this video. If you're interested in this series, if you have ideas for albums from the 80s that you think are iconic and should get covered, I want to hear about it. I can't cover everything, and I won't cover everything, but I'm absolutely open to ideas. I like so much different music, so many different bands, that sometimes I'll even forget that I like a band until I hear them again. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really love this band. And then, I'll start exploring the back catalog again. So I want to see comments for suggestions on who we should cover for this series. Like I said, we're going to stick to the 80s for a while before we venture out. So yeah, I want suggestions. I want feedback. And when we actually start this series in earnest, which I'm going to be starting tomorrow, we will, I want discussion. That's been the biggest joy in all the previous videos, is that we've gotten so much great discussion, and I love it. As always, Pixel Positive Music is about celebrating the actual music. So when we want to try to stick to more positive dialogue, because there's no need to go at someone else because they might have a different opinion or they enjoy a different type of music than you, because we're all in this together. It's all music. And sometimes we will talk about controversial topics, like lineup changes and drama behind the scenes that led to an album existing. And we can just have discussions about those things without attacking other people. So obviously, I'm trying to build up a community of people that just love music and want to talk about it. So I think that we're on a great path so far. Like I said, 230 subscribers is absolutely incredible. Let's keep it growing. My personal goal is to hit 1,000, which obviously it's going to be a while before we get there, but still, it feels more reachable now than it did when I started, and I had no one. So I'm very happy that those of you who have subscribed have joined me on this, and I look forward to all the people that I hope hit that subscribe button now, and as we do this. So, starting tomorrow, we're going to start the iconic albums of the 1980s series, and we'll take it week by week, album by album, and we'll see what happens. So, I will see you guys at the next video.